Oh, you want to lose the stream?
No, push this live.
Okay.
You're going to hear music for a couple of minutes.
Push.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. You are watching Still Toking with. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an awesome show scheduled for you as always. And with us, Benjamin, how's it going?
It's going. That's all.
Took a little while there. You sure you're okay?
I'm good. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Well, yeah. Well, you're the monkey behind the keyboard. Why the monkey? Why not like the butterfly? or the bee, or maybe the centipede. Just asking.
Jar Jar, save us.
Hey, it's Wednesday. I'm not Jeff. And yeah, you're on Still Toking with. And tonight we have not one but two guests. One's only really important. Rico's, but the important one is Kaylen Hanks, who is an entomologist, which I had no idea what it was until 3 days ago. They study bugs.
He thought it was a Pokemon. He's saying that
Well,
Pokemon
a
study?
Pokemon master.
Pokemon master.
I gotta catch them all.
Oh god.
Well, welcome to the show, Kaylen.
Thank you for having us.
Oh boy.
Oh, can you hear me
So,
now?
Yeah, there you
Pokemon Master, is it like a regular Pokeball or the Ultra Pokeball, or which one works best for catching the bugs?
Oh, right now it's a kill jar and a butterfly net. So when you're collecting insects to pin them, you want to make sure that you're killing them in a humane way, which is already a problematic statement. And
A little bit.
I thought we didn't
You-
want to kill the bugs.
we don't. I don't collect very often.
Oh.
I mostly take pictures of them now, but with your kill jar, you put a little bit of plaster of Paris, some carbon tet in there, and they asphyxiate, and you get a good specimen, and you can pin it. So it doesn't take much to collect them.
So, all right, since you're a bug studier or entomologist, what's the creepiest? What do bugs at all creep you out? Are there any bugs that you're just like, you know what, you stay over there?
I can think of some bugs that I don't want to get bit or stung by,
Well, yeah,
but
You
yeah,
should still pet them.
yeah. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say that I'd be afraid of them. I don't know. Animals haven't freaked me out. It's more of like I can say that I'm afraid of heights, but I can't say that I'm afraid of an animal.
Oh,
So
not even
Yeah.
Ben.
Her.
Ben's
I've
kinda
seen it.
scared.
I send her pictures of bugs, and she's like, "Don't kill it. I'll come get it." I'm like, "Oh no, it met a
Yeah.
shoe."
No. Well, I would say the one thing so I grew up in the States, and there are some bugs like the flies and the cockroaches. There's a little bit of an ick factor to them.
Yeah.
And so that was a little bit of a hang up when I was studying them, is viewing them as an animal in their habitat, doing what they were basically made and designed to do. It's less icky.
Now,
I think of it that way.
since you mentioned cockroaches, do they serve any purpose like the
Oh, yeah.
normal household cockroach does not? I'm not talking about like the big hissing cockroaches and stuff
Mhm.
like that, but like the one everybody's trying to kill and get out of their houses. Do those serve
Right.
any actual purpose in the ecology?
Ecosystem? Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, so there are some bugs that are they're just better suited for urban environments. There's a lot of mosquitoes that prefer urban environments, bed bugs. And I think we have to take into consideration that humans are not at the top of the food chain, and they're not the center of the universe. So just because a cockroach maybe doesn't serve a direct purpose to us doesn't mean that it doesn't serve a purpose. And so like the cockroaches in our house, they're definitely providing a service in being like part of the disease ecology, being part of recycling nutrients. I put value on them just because they are a living thing, and that inherently has value to me. Even though it probably is a pest to most people.
Well, luckily I haven't had to deal with them for years, but like,
Yeah, good.
I keep them and put them together like dog fights. Like
got little like racing cockroaches.
no, not racing.
A little flea circus.
No, I just make them fight each other. We'll put bets on it. It's great.
Comes out
Great.
with
One
a
of them has
cockroach
a
dagger.
tattoo. Yeah. One of them has like it's like what's that episode of Rick and Morty? I'm a pickle Rick, and he fucking fights the insects. That's what I think. Like that's what we kind of try to do. We even tried to do a pickle Rick. And it didn't go well.
So, I mean,
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, no, I was going to ask you. I was actually holding a sneeze. I was going to ask a question. So you're talking about the ecology of bugs and, where bugs do serve a purpose. Several years ago, bees, there was like a fear that they were becoming extinct. What would have happened? Or is there like a insect that, could affect us globally, rather quickly if it like went extinct?
Yeah. So probably the more controversial statement is when people say save the bees, they're probably thinking about the honeybee that lives in the hive and it makes honey. And I'm speaking strictly from like a North American perspective. If the honeybee went away, that wouldn't be terrible for America because it's not a native species. And
my son tells me that all the time. He's like, the honeybee is not actually a native species; it's invasive.
But they have come in and they served they serve their niche well. So it would, while we would be going back to a more natural state, we would still lose some of their products, and that would affect us as a general population. So do I think it'll cripple all of humanity if a honeybee leaves? I think it would be detrimental, but not the worst. It wouldn't be a nuclear bomb. I would say if we were to get rid of our pollinators, like our flies, our butterflies, and our wasps, I think that would be a more detrimental loss because they're so specific.
Wasps, really?
Wasps are probably one of our number one pollinators.
Oh,
yeah.
Did not know that.
Yep.
And there you go, Rico. You thought it was you.
But no, you just thought it was a lady with a dagger, but
pretty much.
Well, no, we would. I'm not hating on honeybees, but
she's like, I gotta put something on my peanut butter sandwich.
Well, I'm not hating on honeybees.
Sounds like you are.
I think it would be worse if we lost our flies and our nutrient recyclers, like our cockroaches and our flies.
Can you explain for the people listening what a nutrient recycler is?
Yeah. So you guys like zombies. The reason why I have a hang up with a lot of zombie things is because we're the assumption a zombie is dead, right? Okay.
Yes.
First assumption, a zombie's dead. And so it behaves like a dead body in that there's a decay process and there's certain smells and temperature things going on. If we had a zombie apocalypse, I feel like we would have a boom of nutrient recyclers, these blowflies and these cockroaches and these carrion beetles absolutely cleaning the zombies.
In like a matter of months, I think we had talked about. Yeah.
And I think there should be more of those nutrient recyclers, those insects that are taking dead and decaying things and they're putting it back into the earth. I think that would make a really cool zombie movie to have a plague with it.
You just gave me a new way out of the zombie apocalypse. I'm just waiting for flies to show up.
Yeah.
I'll throw honey on them.
28 days, we're good.
28 days. Good. Just throw a bunch of honey on every zombie that comes in. You see the swarm of flies.
Yeah.
I talk about this in our forensic class where flies are one of the first ones to visit a dead body. Do you know how quickly they can come?
Within 4 hours of decomposition starting.
Yeah.
Decomposition normally starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Decomposition of a body normally starts within 60 minutes of someone passing.
Yeah.
Because depending on where they're sitting, the blood is gonna accumulate.
Yeah.
And then once there's no blood, well, the coagulation happens later, but your blood will fall, right? So if I'm sitting like this and I die, right, the blood will start accumulating at the bottom of wherever it is because nothing's flowing, and then that's when things start to come in and things start to eat you and whatnot within those 60-minute window.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and they start getting to work immediately. So what they're getting is yeah. Well, so you wouldn't know if it was well. You wouldn't feel pain the same way.
Oh God, here we go.
So maggot therapy, super. Super common for people who have been horribly maimed in war.
Yeah,
and
I was watching House of the Dragon the other day, and they had the maggot therapy going on, and I'm just like, I'm so glad I don't live in those
Well,
it still happens.
It's considered it's a medical device.
Hold on a minute.
It's a medical.
That took 10 minutes from us starting for hear someone say no. It took 10 minutes.
So maggot therapy, what makes it so effective?
So maggots are a medical, which means
medical device.
Next time the neighbor's stinky trash is out too long, I can just collect them and maybe sell them to somebody.
No. So you have to rear them in a super sterile environment to market it as a medical device. But what makes it so effective?
That's right.
Is particularly for like diabetic ulcers, when you have tissue that's decaying, but you also have living tissue around it, you don't want the living tissue to be affected. And these maggots, they only take the decaying meat. They're not eating the living tissue. So it's you're losing dead material. And they also have this incredible antimicrobial property too. So you're much less likely to get secondary infections from the flies themselves because they're super clean and they're super efficient and there's the specificity. I mean, it's a really elegant way to combat a problem, I think.
I think maggots is where I draw the line at. Oh my God, that's freaking gross.
So I've heard that you are vaguely aware of their presence, but they don't cause pain.
Really?
If you've had you've seen the human botfly
kind of
videos,
like those fish that eat the stuff off your feet. I forget what it is. The dead skin and stuff. I've seen that kind of therapy.
I've heard that you're aware of them moving around, but it's not pain. I've never had it done.
That's enough, though. The moving around, like looking down, and you see these little worms. Just
don't worry.
Would it be like an alien pregnancy? Just like no.
There you go. No.
We all know the movie scene.
No.
They just pour out.
Just shoot me.
When I was in graduate school, the one thing that all the frat boys wanted to do was get a human botfly and grow their own botfly. So it's a really fascinating life cycle. But the female botfly, when she's pregnant, she will go and she'll just dogpile a mosquito and she'll lay an egg next to the mosquito face. When the mosquito goes and bites a mammal, the heat from the mammal's skin wakes up, causes the embryo to kind of wake up, and they are inserted through the bite. And that's where the botfly will grow. And they get pretty big. I mean, they look like a horse pill. And they'll grow, and when they're ready to pupate,
tonight.
That's exactly what I say every time I have her on my show. It's exactly what you just said. I was like, I'm not fucking sleeping tonight. I need the light on.
The human botfly. When I went to
this. It gets better. No. This gets better. Go ahead. This gets better.
I went to Canada recently, and I was we stayed with the Dene tribe, and our guide, we were talking about the different delicacies that they have throughout the year. So in the wintertime, they want animals with a higher fat content. In the summertime, they can enjoy more interesting delicacies. And these botflies, these warbles, they eat them as a kind of like an energy boost. And I'm told it's just like Gatorade. So hadn't tried it. It's on there. It's on the list.
I mean, I'm all down for trying anything once, but
so let's back up a second. You started to saying that the other students wanted to get one. Like, did they want to have one?
So it was just this frat boy mentality of just like, oh yeah, just morbid curiosity. I want to grow a botfly, and so you'd sit there and you'd incubate this thing, and then when it's ready to
pupate, I'm not part of a fraternity.
well, when it's ready to pupate, that's when you're very acutely aware of like, oh man, this thing it is bursting from your skin, and it will like blurp blurp come out just like
That's a scientific term, right?
Yeah, blurp. I have. I'm trying to think of what can I liken it to. It is. It's a big squishy, about the size of a $50. Like,
wow.
Yeah, they're rotund and they're.
Jesus.
And they plant themselves inside of human skin as well.
Yep. You'll see them a lot on
right here, right? You said you had told me
anywhere where a mosquito bites you. Yeah. So you'll see them a lot on like barnyard animals.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, or in this area of the country, they call them warbles. And apparently you can eat them. So
chopsticks.
Great. Oh yeah.
Another.
There it is. There you go.
Oh man.
Right there.
So those spikes, they are backwards facing, so you can't pull it out. Otherwise, it will break off. And that's just, and so you see at the very end, that's where they breathe.
The left or the right? The left side or the right side?
Left.
The left side right here. Okay.
So that's where you'll see in these wounds that it looks like the wound is like inhaling, exhaling. That's where they kind of like a snorkel. They're getting their oxygen.
I've never seen Ben with that face. I've never seen Ben do that face.
Isn't that neat?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. Oh yes.
It gets crazier.
Yeah,
you should tell them about what's the female insect that pretends to breed and then like entices the other insect and then she fucking murders it.
Oh, so there's several
Humans?
species of fireflies. Yeah.
I think you're thinking
Fireflies.
They're just like us. They're so there's different species of firefly, and there's this one like femme fatale where she'll perch up and she needs to get a blood meal, protein meal. She's a predator, and what she'll do is she'll watch a male firefly of a different species, and he'll put out his little signal, and she will mimic it, and she'll pretend to be the female of that species. When he gets close enough, lunch. And I think that's.
But wait, there's more. What does she do with the erection that he had?
No.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hold on, no, you got to tell us about that.
Well, so they don't have.
They don't have kids.
They don't have that. So, male fireflies will also engage with. So, when same species, when they're mating, to prevent other males from getting with their girl, they will mate the whole night. So they will.
Ain't nobody
just
got time for that.
I know they will. They will stay connected the whole night so that she doesn't mate with anybody else.
Damn.
I know, right?
Actually, a serious question about that is that
Wow, that's like being 18 all over again.
Is that something that they could like
Insane.
study like for like a Viagra or something like that? Like something.
I think it's more like I think it's like a mechanical thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Perfect. No, I figured I'd ask. I
Well-
wanted to ask her that last time, and I didn't think about it until I left.
I was asked once
Right.
if
Makes you
honeybee.
wish you were a mosquito, huh?
No.
I was once asked if honeybees could be used to develop types of birth control because the queen honeybee in a hive will produce pheromones that suppress the reproductive systems of her offspring.
Oh,
So
no
it's
kidding.
only the female honeybee that gets to make eggs. And she can also decide when an egg gets fertilized and when an egg doesn't get fertilized. Well, decide. So unfertilized eggs result in male honeybees. Male honeybees are generally haploid, and female honeybees generally result from the diploid cell, the egg that was fertilized. And the reason why she's suppressing this is because in order to keep the hive working together and thinking of a hive as working as one organism, it's just in everybody's best interest if they are more closely related, and we can't be mixing too many people, because then that the hive starts to collapse somewhat.
Now, in the human world, if you mix people that are too close together, you get Down syndrome and stuff like that.
Well,
Different mutations to the chromosomes. Does that happen with the honeybees too? Like, do you all of a sudden derp?
No,
That's a good question. I didn't think about that.
that's a really good one.
Yeah.
So this is another, or this also kind of ties into the you've heard the expression or the thought that, oh, if there's a nuclear holocaust, the only thing that's going to survive is the cockroach.
Yep.
And so what they're talking about is nuclear holocaust. It's the radiation that's affecting our DNA. And when you have humans, think of our whole genetic makeup. Think of that as like a super sophisticated clock. There's a bunch of little parts, and when you're thinking of the genetic makeup of an insect, it's more like a sundial. It's a lot easier to screw up a clock than it is to screw up a sundial. So
A lot less moving parts.
yeah, so consanguous relationships, so consanguous pairings, so male and female who are very closely related. It's not as big of an issue with insects that it would be with higher mammals. A lot of it escapes me now, but there's a lot of insects that are very closely related, and they have offspring that are not suffering from the lack of genetic diversity.
1 second, just so everybody knows, consanguous means people of relation. I looked it up.
Yeah.
People of relation, he says.
So
Consanguous is the polite term for like redneck, right? Or,
Yeah.
the hills have eyes. The hills have eyes.
yeah. So, and the reason why that works is because they have a simple. I don't want to
Oh my
give you the
God.
wrong impression, but they have a less. It's like all the bees are falcons. That's my husband.
That's great.
That was good. That was good.
Yep.
So question.
Oh,
How come?
Jesus.
I actually have a question, Ben and Jar. So how come,
Fine, leave me out of it.
Leo? You know you're over there. I love you. How come, like the Chernobyl incident, right? How come animals are thriving and the fauna is thriving in that environment, and the insects too? Because I've seen videos of like from far away, there's insects and there's bees. How come they're not polluted? And there's puppies too.
Mm-hmm.
How come they're not fucked up by it?
So from the very limited articles that I've read, humans may or may not have exhibited a harsher ecological pressure on animals than nuclear radiation. So
How so?
the one
So
paper,
saying what we put them through already is worse
Way
than
worse
going through a bomb.
so that, and this is just it's a very limited study, but
Wow.
the animals and insects are probably thriving because they're not competing with humans for the same spatial resources.
So the earth would be better if we just knew.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no. Nature is healing. So-
Nature is healing. Oh God.
No, like I said, this is a very
Right,
limited
right.
study.
I mean, well,
that's one
I
possible
could see that because I mean, like, when's the last time you went outside and went, oh wait, there's an ant, I can't step there. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
you don't look down. You know,
Yeah, I was thinking
I
about
mean,
this.
as a general populace, we just kind of
Mhm.
go ahead.
I don't. You remember going out and like I remember taking road trips in college, and I'd have to stop at every gas station and clean my windshield because I'd hit so many bugs, and I can't remember the last time recently where I've ever had to stop my car and clean the windshield because of bugs.
Oh, we did.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we
Like
did.
okay, that's good. So,
We've killed some.
Yeah.
but
Arizona, like when I go through Arizona and stuff,
Mhm.
bro, that stretch, it's just
nothingness.
like, yeah, and it's just pop, pop, like you hear them.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So is that a bad?
Oh yeah, you hear them bouncing off the mirrors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing if there's not a lot of bugs like in the area and stuff like that?
I would say my opinion is that if we're not coming in contact with a lot of bugs, we're probably doing something that is limiting their population somehow in that area, and that might not be a good thing, because in my opinion, greater genetic diversity, greater diversity in species, that can only, like, that's usually a net good.
Okay.
My opinion.
No. I grow a lot of plants out back during the summer and stuff, and me and my wife have this whole no mow May where we don't mow the yard until June and stuff like that. Mind you, it's a pain in the ass to upkeep doing it that way, but we're hoping that it brings more and more pollinators, so we get more and more wildflowers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. There's I'm not a horticulturalist, but I've heard of the anti-lawn movement. Just trying to encourage, if you're going to manicure the lawn, make sure that it's coinciding with events that aren't going to, disrupt the baby bugs, or the larvae in the soil and whatnot.
So the brown people really are destroying the bug. Our face, she was like, "Oh God, we're going there."
The brown person said that.
Where I am, and
go ahead, Leo. You had something, Leo.
yeah. No. I was gonna say, and I don't know, Jar Jar, if you're having the same thing. Probably Ben, since we're both on the coast, but we've had a lot of rain recently, and the amount of bugs that we've had, like, I know our population of bugs is like exploded down here, and like
I've gotten tons of fungi.
Mushrooms.
She's got some interesting.
Here.
Kaylen has some interesting information about like fungi, like the last style. If you guys want to get into that,
Yeah.
We discuss what non-native species to pay attention to. Oh, that's a good question. Do you want that, Kaylen?
Can we discuss non-native species to pay attention to right now?
Ooh.
The lanternfly, that one they're so beautiful, but they're out competing native
Those
species.
are big, right? Or
they all
I'd say they're an average. They're like,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
It looked like this moth I saw.
They look huge.
Yeah.
Right. So the lanternfly, that's one's probably the biggest bad guy currently. I think they're more popular on the East Coast.
Yeah, I know we're told in Connecticut to kill them on site.
Yeah. So that would be the one to look out for. Keep your eyes open. Circling back to the fungi question. So Last of Us and Girl with All the Gifts, it was a book and it's now a movie. So that is based on the cordyceps fungi, and that there's a few different species of cordyceps. There's one that specifically targets ants, and there's another one that targets ghost moths, and they operate in a very similar way. So the ant, or these ants, they live in the canopy, and in order to go from one tree to the next, sometimes they have to go down the tree trunk, over the turf, and then back up the other tree. When they're going over the turf, they will sometimes pick up these spores, and that's kind of where the mind control happens, where we don't know how it happened. We don't know the mechanism just yet, but what we think is happening is certain chemicals are released and it causes the ant to change behavior. So ant picks up the spore, it gets up in the tree, and then it starts convulsing. That causes the ant to fall. And then the ant is further operates very differently than what it would normally do. It climbs up a stem and it bites onto that the underside of the leaf. And we've noticed that they're usually facing north when they bite down on these leaves. And that could be because the fungi will grow better when they're not facing the sun. That keeps it like a microclimate, keeps it a little bit cooler so that the fungus can grow. And from that point, ant clamps down on the leaf and it's slowly dying. So I think I think I have it in my notes, 4 to 10 days. The fruiting body will spurt out of its head, and that's where more spores are released, so more ants can pick that up. It's a very promising biological control agent. Biological control agents are animals that keep other animals in check. So this fungi could be pretty useful for pest management. If you don't want these particular ants, use this fungi because it really does tear down their numbers to a more manageable size. And it's specific too. That's a very important part with biological control agents. You don't want to introduce a species that's going to take down the ant and then maybe another couple of insects that you don't necessarily want to kill.
Are they harmful to humans?
So
that's the question. That's all I want to know. That's all.
Yeah, that's I think that's everybody's thinking when they see like a zombie apocalypse. They're like, oh my God, is there something that could control my mind? And I mean,
it's called social media.
It's called a fat stack of cash too.
That works too. Oh wow,
so,
Carrie.
Hold on. Oh wow, that's a big one. I got you. I was recently having a conversation with someone who informed me that vehemently only adult male brown recluse spiders can even have a chance at biting a human. They stated that the most reported cause misdiagnosed by MDs were people carrying a necrotic bacteria. All right, Kaylen, I'm gonna let you take that.
So, yes and no. The females do also bite, and we don't have great information on the numbers of like bites, whether they're female or male. Mostly because they are often misdiagnosed because of that secondary infection, like a staph or just some other wound. A lot of it can also be allergy to like plants.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I think we were talking about the
Sorry,
cordyceps
that was
fungi.
huge.
That was huge. The cordyceps fungi, why it's probably not going to infect humans is probably not. Because our body temperature. So we're mammals.
So
our
it is
body
just
temperature.
like The Last of Us.
Yeah. So our internal temperature is usually greater than our environment. And with insects, not so much. Their body temperature is pretty consistently whatever their environment is. And so these fungi, it is possible to have a fungal infection as a human. Anybody who's ever had ringworm knows that. But the cordyceps fungi,
They need to rename that, by the way, ringworm. My son got that as a baby, a toddler, just like most kids do, because going to
children
daycare and all that stuff, And when I was told my kid had ringworm, I was like, he's got like some kind of thing inside of him. I'm gonna pull out a huge
like a
tapeworm.
pinworm?
Like I was like, what's going on? And they're like, no, you
people
rub a
always
little
have-
antifungal cream on it.
People-
It's all gone.
People at jujitsu that have never had it always have that same thought. They're like, "Oh my god, I have it."
A worm. It's a fungus. But so humans are capable of having a fungal infection. The cordyceps fungi, probably not going to infect humans just because we're too warm, and that's a good thing. We should be warm.
So with Last of Us, if global warming,
Yeah.
that okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting here like, fuck, man. How do I prepare for this?
I'm not a climate scientist, and I'm not a future fortune teller, but
so essentially what you're saying is Florida's going to get hit first.
Florida's getting first. Listen, bro, if Puerto Rico gets hit first, that's when we're all fucked. Like
oh goodness.
When the Hispanic countries get hit and people start jumping, but you keep it. Oh my god.
The cordyceps fungi, that's not the most terrifying fungus that infects and mind controls.
Here we go then.
So Massospora cicadina, I hope I'm saying that right. It's Latin, so we will never know. This is a fungus that affects the periodical cicadas. These are the ones that are on the 17 and the 13-year life cycle. And this is a very unique thing because since they're on these really discrete life cycles, it's really, really unique that a fungus adapted to specifically prey on these. So called the salt shaker of death at times. What happens is these, how the cicada lives underground for a period of time and then it emerges. When they're living underground, they will take up these spores, and the spores will sometimes lay dormant for up to a year. Could be their entire life cycle. They can remain dormant. So that's also a pretty unique thing about this fungus. So when the cicada emerges, it starts from the back end up. So it'll start with the reproductive tract and move towards the head. You'll see videos online of these cicadas flying around, and it looks like it's just a head with wings and this little dust shaker at the end of it. And that's the fungus just eating it. And it's really cool how that works, because the cicada is able to fly around and shake these spores and infest more cicada. If it went the other way, if it went front to back, it would be less dispersal. So this is a really cool thing that's happening. So the spores, once they get into the tract of specifically a male cicada, it will cause the male cicada to behave like a female cicada. So the boys, they'll scream, and then the female will snap her wings, and then they just kind of get closer and closer till they can actually mate. What happens with these infected males is they start snapping like females, which then causes more males to come, and it's like a fungal STD, spreads more rapidly. And
guys are stupid.
Boys are gross.
They'll mate with anything.
They'll mate with
anything.
Ben's like, oh, God, how am I gonna sleep tonight?
Was this it? I know you sent some.
Whoa.
So that is a periodic. I can't see with the.
Oh man,
hold on. I'm sorry, I'll move it. Oh God, no, I've seen
Yes,
this.
that is.
I've seen this. Oh,
so you can already see a good portion of his abdomen has been eaten away, and as he's flying around, he's just a salt shaker of death, spraying them wherever they might meet. That's not the worst. You can get much more graphic.
Look at Ben. Ben's face just says it all. He's like,
but that's a really neat
thought this
thing.
was
for
going to
this
be a
fungus.
boring show. I was like, I'm going on with an
Oh no.
This can get
nightmares.
crazy. We've had her on. The last time we had you on was what, 2.5 hours or something like that. And we got into some stuff that I went home and I was the little spoon. I was like, just hold me, please. Hold me tight.
Tell me it's gonna be okay.
Protect me from the bugs.
Yeah. So now you know that when I asked her about this the Last of Us, I was like, hey, I literally said it just like everybody's seen the clip when it's like, well, the fungi, if it was 97 whatever the fuck degrees, and I was like, hey, I like texted you or something. I was like, hey, is this true? You're like, oh yeah, it is. And I was like,
it can happen.
It's really funny.
I mean, I think
thought
it's
you brought
really
up The Last
neat
of
what
Us
they do.
because we had Olivier on last week.
No, I brought it up because she like it's
a cool species.
Yeah,
I think.
Sure. I don't want to say cool, but you know,
I mean that's a fungus. I don't want to say mind controlling because it's not like they have the same cognitive life that we do, but this is a think of it like a fungus which does not have a brain, does not have a nervous system, is manipulating or interfering with the behavior of a larger animal. I think that's pretty cool stuff.
It's definitely interesting. Scared the crap out of me, but
we do have insects that also do the mind control thing with other insects. I say mind control, that's like heavily asterisk. There's this phorid fly that will an egg is laid on like the neck of a ant, and then the phorid fly larvae will burrow into its head capsule and it'll live in this head capsule.
I think I've seen this one on Discovery. It's
the decapitating
really cool.
fly.
Yeah.
And
that one's cool
because they're putting so much pressure on the head ganglion, the nerve fibers in their head. It's causing this ant to behave in a way that protects the fly larva so that it lives long enough to pupate and become a fly.
But they feel everything. They're still alive though. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah,
they're alive and they're feeling.
They're very much
aware,
living. Yeah. Well,
aware as an ant can be.
Are they sentient? Yeah. So another, like, before we get too far with mind control of insects, when I say mind control and why that's heavily asterisk, insects don't have a brain. If you imagine the head, the thorax, and the abdomen, there's ganglion, so it's a cluster of nerve fibers. And so the ganglion in the head, that's predominantly for eating and sensory intake. The one in the thorax, that's basically controlling the movement. And the one in the abdomen, it's more the digestion, reproduction systems. Which is why, this is my favorite insect fact, the female praying mantis can still mate with a male praying mantis after she's chewed his head off because the brain for his back end still works.
Look at Ben.
Cool. I think that's cool.
But at least he won't pay child support.
Just,
like, I mean,
yeah, right.
Just get rid of the annoying part and keep the fun.
Get rid of the annoying part.
Keep the fun bit.
That's a whole new level of necrophilia.
Keep the useful part.
Yeah.
It is my favorite dinner time topic. It's my favorite thing to tell people when they ask what is an entomologist, or why aren't more women in entomology? I don't know, but they should definitely know this. So
Charger's like,
Keep
I
it
need
up, and
to
I'll
be
just
held.
rip your head off because I only need the other one.
Yeah, right.
The other one has a brain of its own.
Yeah.
Now, you sent
Right?
us a list of a couple items. I'm going to bring up some of the images here.
Yeah.
Fuck
Now,
that.
Oh,
Run.
you remember this? You remember this? If you've ever seen
she's cute.
Arachnophobia
Yep. Run.
with
Run.
Jeff Daniels.
Yes.
Okay. So in the movie, a photographer goes down to South America, takes a picture, the spider hitchhikes with him, and it's really a horror movie about invasive species. But they chose this Avondale spider because it is a communal huntsman. When someone says a spider is a huntsman, that means that they don't build a web to trap things. They go out and they hunt, like they pursue their prey, they hunt them. So these communal huntsmen, they'll live in colonies, sometimes 300 individuals. And there's evidence to say that there's either a communication or a relatedness, because one huntsman colony will show aggression towards between not self colonies. So colony A, they get along very well. If colony B gets too close, they will cannibalize individuals from colony B. So
And then they'll take the workers and enslave
no,
them.
oh
right?
no, that's the ants.
Oh, the ants.
But that's also really cool. So these colonies, it's neat that they live in colonies, because that's such a weird behavior for spiders. Spiders are normally lone wolves, but to have them live in a colony, that's why they chose them for this movie, because you could have a bunch of them on set. And they are not considered medically significant. So the toxins, it's not going to kill you. So that's why they could safely be handled on set for the movie. It was also in Spider-Man. There's a scene where Peter Parker is walking past a display of different spiders, and he passes by an Avondale spider.
You must be so much fun at movies. Like, I
I'm not.
know what that species is.
I'm not. My husband will.
I'm
be
a
watching
big
a
dork.
video
I'll-
game.
Actually,
She'll watch a video game and be like, that's possible. There's this bug that does this, and that could really happen.
oh, pause the video. I got to tell you.
Yeah, pause the video.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. And I'm just like, God.
Maybe I am fun at movies.
I don't know. I just.
Not if you're wanting to watch the end, but
Not if you want to be more traumatized.
Yeah, right. Arachnophobia is definitely not the movie for me.
oh, it was a good one.
Eric let a spider like touch him on the show one time. She brought it on, and I was just looking at it, and it was like, and I'm like,
the
nope.
movement.
Nope, I'm good.
What was the scene you remember in Arachnophobia? Because the one that stands out to me was when it's the flamethrower and he's burning down the barn,
going crazy. Yeah.
and then nearly everybody else I've talked to, the two scenes, it's the barn scene or the shower scene, where the doing her hair and the thing falls out. I think.
No.
Yeah.
well, so that reminds me, like, you see these like horror pictures from like Australia of like, like a spider webbing up an entire car, and these monster sized bugs, like how I don't want to say realistic because you see pictures of it, but I mean, is that common, like to have
South African places, right?
Well, so the giant webs, you'll see that, or so there are some arboreal species that will build these really cool complex webs that can get pretty big. The webbing, there's also the webworm, where we've seen it here in America. It's a type of moth where the larvae will just basically encapsulate an entire tree. They'll
I've seen those.
Yeah. So that's more like what we would encounter in the States. As far as like big spiders, big animals, I have right now, she's a baby, but I have the second largest species of tarantula, and she'll get about as big as a dinner plate when she's full grown.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you.
Well,
I have a little girl downstairs that screams her head off for me to come kill the tiniest little daddy long legs. Mind you, I do set and release those ones. Catch and release.
So
well, I tried to explain to her. I'm like, they don't even have things that are long enough to hurt you. So no worries there.
Jar Jar, you bypassed the most important thing. She said the second largest.
Second largest. What's the largest?
It gets marginally bigger than a dinner plate. When I say dinner plate, it's all spread out. Her legs will touch all the sides of the dinner plate. They
so it can like
face hugger.
So does she cuddle?
They can face hug you.
I think of keeping tarantulas and insects more like how people keep fish, where it's not a dog that I'm playing with, but it is something that I am caring for.
The scorpions are cool to play with, though.
Yeah, dude, those things under black lights are awesome.
They're really cool.
Yeah, we did that, but they're cool. Like when you there was one that she brought that I would like go like this on the glass, and then it would burrow and it would like go like this on the glass. Like,
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's you have
cool.
like a colony of like 10 or something like that.
I had Asian forest scorpions.
Yeah.
So they're kind of one male will have a harem of females, or
harem. I love it.
That's what. And females will live together, but boys don't want to room together. Yeah. So, but the Avondale spider, they're named after a town in New Zealand, and New Zealand is very proud of their Avondale spider. They have a statue of one in their little commerce area. So that would
New Zealand?
Yep. The Avondale spider statue.
You got a picture of that, Leo?
Leo's terrified.
Yeah, right?
Oh dear God, yes, I saw it. I pulled it up. Oh, no.
They're proud of this.
Leo's like petrified.
I've been asking questions. You've been the silent one, Ben.
I'm just.
Oh, okay. I was just checking.
Ben is trying to like figure out how he's gonna go to bed tonight.
So,
very easily.
Oh my God!
Isn't that neat?
Isn't that neat?
What is the other movie monster? What's your favorite insect movie monster?
Oh, let's see. I don't know.
Ben,
I've always been partial to I know I said the line from an earlier Super Troopers, but they had the brain bugs on there, and they were like these huge like slug kind of things, and yeah, slugs. There you go. You ever seen the movie Slugs? It's a B horror movie where like, I think it's Slugs, but it's there's.
Are they mind control type movie monster?
Oh, Muerte Viscosa. It's the slugs that they're poisonous to people. Muerte Viscosa. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're not real, but Star Trek 2, when they put the bugs in their ears.
Oh, the ears, yeah.
Oh my God, I could not stand that.
That's something that I always still think is possible. Like you get that little weird feeling.
I'm sleeping with my headphones on tonight.
Something in here.
Tokyo. You ever seen Tokyo Ghoul, the anime?
Yeah.
The scene when Kaneki's getting tortured and they put the centipede. That's actually something that people used to do.
Was that in
Tokyo Ghoul?
What's the Matrix? Did they do something like that?
Something like that.
Oh, they did the.
You're like, yeah, that used to be done back in the day. Like they put whatever insect it was, and it would fuck with people. They would torture people with that.
I've heard of people using insects as torture devices.
The new game Baldur's Gate 3. It starts off. It's like a mind control bug. And the guy puts it on your face and it goes up to your eye and like goes and burrows in your eye
to
go behind into your brain. It is messed up.
We do have one of those. So,
fantastic.
Nematomorpha, the horsehair worm, and it's all over America. So this
Hold on, why is it called a horsehair worm?
Pull it up, Leo. Pull it up.
So before we understood where species came from, there was this thought that spontaneous generation. So they would find a lot of these horsehair worms in horse troughs. And what was thought was anytime a horsehair falls into a trough, it becomes this worm.
Oh, wow.
What's actually happening is, and this is the Gordian worm. So
what
they
was
need
this
to
also? That wasn't it. Oh, that okay.
Yeah, that's not a tapeworm. Tapeworms have like little divots, right?
Mm-hmm. So this Gordian worm, it's reference to a Gordian knot because they're coiled up. So they complete their life cycle in two different areas. So in the water, they mate, they breed, and then the eggs are taken up by an insect, and they grow inside the insect by absorbing their nutrients. So you're talking about the one behind the eye. When a Gordian worm gets inside a mantis, it puts pressure on the ganglion so that the mantis is now attracted to polarized light, like what you would see like reflecting off of water. And so the mantis goes towards the water, and once the mantis hits the water, the worm bursts out of them, a la Alien. And it'll get into the water, they'll mate, and it starts over again. For crickets, it'll get into the gut of a cricket or a grasshopper, and it will cause them to behave in a way like crickets don't swim and they don't seek out water, like pools of water. They'll take up their hydration with smaller dewdrops and humidity. So the Gordian worm is causing this Orthoptera to seek out water so that it can emerge from it. And there's really cool videos all over the internet of these worms just sometimes multiple worms bursting out of one cricket. There's and what's kind of cool is most of the time,
come on.
That one. Most of the time, the insect survives this interaction. The Gordian worm doesn't always kill their host. Yeah.
I don't think he meant that towards
the picture.
Yeah, he meant that towards Leo.
Yeah.
Oh no, not that picture.
That was the bug that goes into your eye in Baldur's Gate.
Oh God.
I know what I'm not playing.
No.
Great.
Not tonight, at
worm,
least.
it's definitely and so if you're near fresh water and you see a very plump looking insect, maybe you could watch
Video
them a
it?
little bit. Yeah, video it. Like be aware of
This
this.
thing's about to burst.
Yeah.
And send it to Kaylen.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh God.
And then also with the so stuff going directly into your brain, there's this jewel wasp where in order to for their babies to grow up, they have to have a host. So their specific host is a cockroach. This jewel wasp will go over, and it's a 1-2 punch. So first she will sting the thorax, which immobilizes the movement of the cockroach. The cockroach can't escape. And then she'll take some time because she's wanting to stab the cockroach in just the right spot and deliver just the right toxin. And this second toxin kind of dampens their ability to just like flee and their desires to escape pain and to escape this crowding. So once she has that, so the 1-2 punch, she'll take a piece of his antenna, she'll chew on it, and then she'll kind of walk him like a dog to a burrow, where then she will lay an egg.
There it is.
And she will seal the burrow so that other wasps don't steal it, so other insects aren't robbing it. and then her babies will have a nice cockroach to eat on, and the cockroach is alive as they're devouring it.
Man.
Yeah.
Rick and
That's a
Morty has a skit
process.
about that. Rick and Morty has a skit about that where it's like they go to an alternate universe and it's like it's that bug. They're like, it's in me, it's coming out, and they're still eating it. Yeah.
The one thing that I thought was like the most fascinating tidbit about that is that the octopamine, which is the second dose, that her toxin specifically goes after that neurotransmitter, and I mean, we have that in our brain, I think. So kind of neat. And her stinger. Yeah. When you think about a stinger, are you thinking about like a dagger, something that's rigid but her stinger, it's more like a sensing noodle thing. Like she can articulate it and find and dig around to find the one spot that she can deliver.
That's creepy as fuck.
Yeah. Is it creepier to have something stab you or to have something worm around you?
I think worming around is a little bit creepier. That's the level. That's a level right there.
Mosquito proboscis.
No, that is definitely creepier.
Yeah, so mosquito proboscis will worm around to find the right vessel too. And that's a really cool video to watch too. Just this mouth part. And you'll see the video, so the blood is moving through, and you'll see the mouth part kind of lock in on it and go towards it. It's like a little heat-seeking missile. It's kind of cool.
How did they know it's the right vessel?
So that's another thing is don't fully understand it
because they're smarter than us.
Yeah, obviously.
It could be a heat thing. It could be a chemical input. So they're just sensing it and they're going after like, oh, this might be a good blood vessel burst. It is a blood vessel. Take a meal. Yeah.
Bugs.
It sounds like my old dating.
All right. What's the bug that
What's the bug that what?
Most intrigues her? Like that she's just like, wow, this thing's freaking on another level.
That's a good one.
Like right now we're into a bunch of weird stuff, and I'm just like, God, man, I'm gonna die.
This is nothing. This is it's about bed bugs.
It's probably not on the gross, disgusting layer, but the Saturnity moths, those ones just blew my mind because I raised them, and when I think
it's so
about
funny to hear somebody say that they raised bugs.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You do what?
Yeah. So I work I volunteer at a butterfly house, and we were raising these Saturnity moths. Well, when they're a larvae, their job is to eat, get to a massive size. They spin a cocoon, and then when they emerge as an adult, they are losing their mouth parts, so they don't eat in their adult stage. They have one mission, and it's nothing to do with their mouth. So they don't live very long in the adult form, but so that's amazing that happens, but also the human connection with these animals, it's been going on for literally thousands of years. Sericulture was developed in China almost 5,000 years ago, and we get a lot of useful material from this insect, where people have been breeding the silk moth, the commercial silk moth, for thousands of years, and now that species cannot breed without human intervention. They've become so
no kidding.
They've become so domesticated that they're now just an intertwined species. There are wild silk moths, but they're not commercially useful for silk production. And then in the Americas, where kind of the American way of doing things is we're going to make it bigger and better. So when we're
more power.
So competing with China, our silk moth, the giant silk moth, that's the Cecropia moth, And without that moth, it would have crippled our economy. And so I think about that of just how much of human history would be so different if bugs didn't exist.
How would it have crippled the economy, if you don't mind me asking?
If we're so when we're competing with China's silk production, and that opened up relationships,
supply and demand. Okay.
So yeah, so that's where we came in.
Okay.
The
You should tell them about
like
the time.
Taylor Swift.
You should tell them about the time that the spider blinded you.
Well, it didn't blind me.
It didn't blind you.
It did not blind me. So New World tarantulas have these urticating hairs, and it's a defense mechanism where when they are upset, they will kick off these hairs, and it causes a very severe allergic response. It's not an immune response that we can, our body will recognize it and we'll just get stronger and better at fighting it. It's an allergy. It gets worse every time we encounter it. And I've been sprayed a couple times, and it felt like putting my hand in fiberglass.
Oh, I thought you were saying it felt like pudding. I was like, what do you mean it feels like pudding?
Yeah, it felt like putting my hands in fiberglass, and there was nothing I could do. Like I couldn't wash it off.
Look at Ben.
I couldn't do anything but just ride it out. And it gets worse every time. I
used to do insulation, so I know that that's no fun.
It's not a very pleasant experience.
It's cool too, because like the first time she came to the show, she brought like insects, and she's like, pet it. And I went to pet it, and she goes, hey, if it backs off, let it be, and it'll come forward. If it backs off again and it goes like this, right, then it's gonna start. Yeah, it goes like this, and then it goes like this. That means it's gonna attack you. So I literally walked up, and it backed up, and it went like this, and I was like, "Yep, it wants nothing to fucking do with me."
Yeah, bugs don't like me.
They do telegraph.
Yeah, telegraph like a motherfucker. I was like, "Nope, not fucking with it. I'm not gonna fuck with it." But it's cool, man. Insects are it's a really interesting aspect of it, because you could be here for hours and stuff.
Dude,
I mean,
I'm telling you.
Oh shit!
This has been one of the most interesting interviews in a while.
Oh, good. I was gonna say that I think it's one of the overlooked things. Insects are probably overlooked because of their size, and it's a shame because they really did shape human history. The mosquito has killed more people than World War, than accidents.
Dengue. Remember we talked about dengue in Puerto Rico?
And it's not just dengue, it's chikungunya, it's malaria. There's pretty good evidence that Alexander the Great died from a malaria infection. The louse literally crippled Napoleon's army. And what would history look like if the French Grand Army went to Russia? And just all these things of what could have happened in the world if there wasn't an insect present to be a part of history and witness history.
So we need to start interviewing those mosquitoes.
I mean, that would be a really cool one, a medical entomology one.
Medical entomology.
Because just like the maggot therapy, there's a lot of stuff that can be used for good. And there's a lot of disease too.
It was an entomologist coming on, and when I found out what that was, I was just like, oh, this must be all about the marijuana plants and like the right bugs to have in your fields and stuff. Like, because as I said, I get the praying mantis and the ladybugs because they keep away the bugs that we don't like.
The aphids and the pests of the plant. Yeah, most entomologists are employed by agricultural sectors.
Makes sense.
That's majority of our spending is on the agriculture aspect. Something that kind of blew my mind is when I think of an entomologist, I always pictured in my head like the guy from Bones and Silence of the Lambs, where they're solving crimes because they're studying insects. And that is such a tiny number of people that are actually doing that.
Coroners are like I've sat on autopsies where and this will be, you'll probably want to like put a warning on this one, Leo. I've sat on autopsies when they're pulling something out of the water, right? And like you see how swollen it is, and then they open it and they see the bugs, and they'll collect the bugs in like these bags, or they'll collect them sometimes in boxes if they're alive.
Oh yeah,
because they want to see what they do. And it is wild to me, like what bugs, especially what's the bug that goes immediately after the green bug?
Green bottle fly.
Yeah, like those things like are like that, bro. Like that thing will tell you to the T, like, oh, this person died an hour and 57 minutes and 12 seconds ago. Like I've seen it.
So they have these very predictable life cycles. So kind of forensic entomology 101, animal perishes, green bottle fly, or other basically decomposing animals come up. And so an investigator will collect those. It's usually the babies, and they will grow the babies and record when they were collected, when did they reach adulthood,
And it'll tell you.
and they'll also record the temperature, because their life cycle is a function of temperature. The hotter a place is, generally the faster they go through their life cycle. That would be like me growing up faster in a desert, in a hot place, than I would in
a cold place,
in a polar ice cap. And they've studied them long enough where you can now pull up these life tables. So you can say, at this temperature, this insect is going to be this age. I think that's pretty cool that they're that predictable, and that we're exploiting this part of their biology to solve crime.
Yeah, we get taught that. When I went to Iraq, we got taught that because we ran into like a couple situations where it was like, oh, this person's been there, and it's like the guys would come and they'd be like, oh, this bug has been here for this long, so this person's been dead for this long. Or hey, there's this, even with like smells, like there's certain things that they do that produces like a smell, especially in the brain. And people are like, oh, this person was dead like this, and he passed of this. Like it's crazy the amount of information you can collect from a bug, man.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll give you clues on the circumstances surrounding a death.
Yes.
So like somebody who's had like incredible violence done to them, like a stabbing, gunshot, insects will colonize that body.
The specific,
differently than when they're colonizing, say, like a drowning or somebody who didn't have a.
Especially where they concentrate on. Like,
they never say any of this stuff when I'm watching true crimes.
No, bro. No, that would be like them explaining to you the math formula of it. Like,
it's well, I like bugs.
Want us to know.
Yeah. Do you not want to figure out what the mathematical equation is to find out? No. That would be a whole another like, yeah. But no, yeah, but bugs. I know I've had situations like that where it's like I'll read a coroner report and I'm like, oh, it's this bug. That was one of the first reasons why I had her on, was because I was like, oh, I want to know about this stuff more, because it was just stuff that I'm interested in. Because I'll see bugs and stuff, and I'm like, hey, I'll send her a picture, like, what the fuck is this? She's like, oh, let it be. That eats these things, you know. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that's the interesting thing about entomologists. And if you think about like Pokemon, right? Pokemon started because the guy, he was an entomologist, right? Yeah, he was an entomologist.
He wanted to be an entomologist, but then life took a different turn.
He was like, fuck that, I can make money creating bugs.
A wise career choice in the long run.
$13.5 billion company.
Very smart.
Pika pika.
So we should definitely wrap this up though, because I know Leo has another show tonight.
Oh yes.
Oh, wow.
We will wrap it up.
Yeah, okay, it's like 25 past already. I was like, oh shit, we can talk about bugs all night.
We could.
Yeah.
Did we have anything else before we wrap it up?
Not that I know.
Kaylen, your socials whenever they ask.
It's all on you.
Yeah. Well,
it's all in the show notes, but yeah.
So definitely. Yeah, definitely check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. You know me, just Google me, you'll find me. I run a Dorkening podcast network. Head on over to thedorkening.com. You can learn more there, and a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. And Kaylen, where do you like people interacting with you on the socials?
So they can find me on Instagram. I'm at Lord of the Dipterans. Dipterans, Diptera.
Awesome. And Rico.
Thanks for having me, guys. I always appreciate y'all having me and having good friends.
Thank you.
You can find me on YouTube at Rico Podcast, and on Facebook you can find me on Richard Avilas. It's the guy with the cigar and the Pokeball. That's pretty much it, man.
Awesome. Jar Jar.
Hey, come hang out with me on Facebook. My name's Jeremy Courtney, and check out the Re-Education of Nancy Ann Ritter, which is now a live podcast. I have my first episode out, and it's ready to be viewed or listened to, whatever you prefer to do. That's it.
Awesome. Benjamin.
Yeah. My shit working. So
I
apologize for being quiet tonight, but I was just taking it all in. I was blown away by the education in bugs, and I mean, I thought humans were fucked up. These bugs are really fucked up. I mean, they do some weird shit. But no, anyways, I want to thank Kaylen for coming out and hanging out with us. Rico for jumping in here and being another one of our co-hosts. He's always welcome. To all our veterans and first responders, I want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We're out of here.